Hi there. One of the main reasons why I read books is because it's a mindful activity. I'm all about mindful reading and unplugging wherever I can. But one thing I have to use for YouTube work is social media, and being on social media is not very mindful. I've been trying to find a way to not get sucked into the rabbit hole of social media, but still use it in a more mindful way. And I recently found a tool that I think does a really good job of letting me use social media without feeling like I'm getting drained after using it. The tool that I'm referring to is called MailBrew. It's a service that I recently discovered. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm making this video simply because it's a thing I actually pay for with my own money, and I really think it's a tool that more people should look into. In today's video, I want to show you what the service is like and actually go step by step and make a brew from scratch so you can see how useful this can be and how this can actually consolidate your social media consumption so you're being more mindful about the content that you're taking in. Now, I do have a referral link down below in the description if you're interested in signing up. I am not sponsored by them. I'm simply making this because I think it's a really useful tool, but this referral link will help me out. Now let's get actually started over here. I have a new screen over here for creating a new brew. I'm just gonna give it a title. I'll probably call it something like Maneetpaul's Morning Brew. The idea here is every day before I start my day, I will review this morning brew. Usually in bed before getting up, or actually during my coffee time in the morning. Either way, it's a great way to start your day and review everything in a very intentional way. So let's actually start adding some things to this brew. I'm going to simply press the first button over here, add first source. And the first thing I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to add the date. So the date is very prominent at the top. That's always a good thing to know when starting your day. Now the next thing I want to add is actually a Readwise quote. If you watch my channel, you know how much I love Readwise. This is actually syncing to my Kindle. I'm going to press Readwise over here. I already have my token inserted. And I'm going to change this just to one quote. I still review my Readwise on my phone through the Readwise app to build that daily streak, but having an extra quote over here is also a very nice thing. It just has a very intentional feeling to it, and I love reading these quotes whenever I have a chance. And I know the quote will be something I like because it's linking directly to my Kindle account. These are actually quotes that I highlighted myself. So I'm going to start adding a few more fun things now. The first thing I'm going to do is add in some YouTubers that I want to keep up to date with. So I'll press the plus button over here. I'm going to press the YouTube button over here, and I'm going to type in someone like Ali Abdaal, who's my favorite YouTuber. And when he comes up, his channel will show up over here. I'm going to add him to the brew, and now we have a few other options. You can have his most recent videos appear. I personally only want the most recent one to be there because I'll be checking this every single day. I don't have to see the most recent 2 or 3. So I'm going to change this to number 1. And then also I can change the style of the card. So I can change this to have a more colorful background. So it's not just a white background, it kind of stands out a little more. It's completely up to you, but that's what I'm going to do for right now. I'm going to hit done, and I'm actually going to go down and add one more YouTuber. I love MKBHD. So I'm going to hit YouTube again, type in MKBHD, and we'll add him as a source as well right under Ali. Now one thing I want to note over here is even though we're adding in these YouTubers, the only updates that will show up is if there's actually a new video posted that day. So don't be worried if you have a bunch of YouTubers or anyone else for that matter added to your brew. They will only show up in your morning brew if they have an update for that day. So for example, if I check my brew today and Ali did not have a new video, it would not show his videos in my feed at all, which is very nice. I only want to be seeing the stuff that's actually new. I really do appreciate how that works in MailBrew. The next thing I want to do now is add a few Twitter users. If you're a big Twitter user, this is one of the biggest reasons why I use MailBrew. I hate going into the Twitter app and having to refresh my feed and try to keep up to date with all these Twitter people. What I like to do instead is hand select the people I want to follow and keep up to date with. This is especially useful for your close friends who may not tweet very often, but you want to see all their tweets when they do tweet. You may miss them, but if you add them to your MailBrew, there's no way you'll miss them. As long as you're checking your MailBrew, those tweets will always be there. Let me give you an example over here. I'm going to hit the plus button over here. I'm going to add a single user, and someone I want to add is called Snazzy Labs. Now he's a YouTuber, but let's just say for example he was a close friend of mine and I wanted to see his tweets whenever they came up. Let me add him in over here. His name is Quinn Nelson, and when we add him over here, we have a few options. You could only show his most popular tweets, which is really useful for those big Twitter users. Or you can actually only show their latest tweets, which is very useful for people you want to keep up to date with. So I'm going to choose latest, and I'm only going to show the last 3 tweets. which is very, very helpful, especially for people who tweet a lot. You don't want to see every single tweet, just the latest ones. That's really good. But if they do tweet a lot and you want to see all of them, you can increase this to something like 20 of the latest tweets. It could get very overwhelming. It's really up to you what you do. So I'll just keep it at 1 or 2 for right now. And I'm going to change the style over here to be as compact as possible. I'm only going to show thumbnails for images. I'm not going to have any of these crazy colors or anything like that. I want to add several Twitter users to my morning brew. So I want to keep them as compact as possible so I can quickly scroll through my morning brew and see all these tweets at a glance without having to worry about who they're from. I know they're people I want to actually follow. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to add a few more people to my Twitter source over here. So I have a few people I'm actually keeping up to date with. Let me do that right now. All right, I've added a few other people to my Twitter sources over here. So these are all people I want to keep up to date with. I could definitely add a lot more. I would probably add several dozen people to this list simply because not everybody will tweet every single day. So every day will be a different feed completely, but it's really nice being able to keep up to date with those people I don't want to miss any tweets from. And this is very useful for Twitter because you can also add other things like Twitter lists, or you can see all the tweets that people are liking by a certain user. It's very, very advanced. So if you're a Twitter user, this is like almost a must-have tool. It just makes using Twitter so much more intentional and mindful. You don't have to keep scrolling through endless feeds. This is very, very nice to use. Now, putting Twitter aside, there are a few other things I want to do over here. If you want to add things like the news, you can add things from Product Hunt, you can add things from Google News, you can add crypto and stocks, all within your morning brew over here. There is so much customization. It all depends on what your interests are. This is definitely leaning more towards a techie background. So if you're a tech enthusiast, you'll see a bunch of sources here, but you can even add custom things like RSS feeds for websites that you may be browsing. A great example of this is I actually like to follow the Good e-reader blog because I love Kindles and they have a lot of updates for different e-readers and stuff like that. So let me type in the Good e-reader over here, and this will actually show me right away their blog come up, and this will allow me to subscribe to their blog in my brew every single day. So if they have any new posts from the day before, those will show up in the brew automatically. This is a great way to stay up to date with different blogs that you follow that may not be posting on Twitter or any other platform. It's a very great old school method of staying up to date with people that you really enjoy their content from. Now, once you have all your sources added to the brew, the next thing you can do is go back to the top of the page and set your frequency. I like to get my brews every single day, but say you're following some people who don't post that much and a weekly cadence is more appropriate for those people. You can create a brew on a weekly cadence instead, which is very, very useful. So for me, I like having a daily brew. I'm going to keep it as daily and change the time to be something like early in the morning, something maybe like 5 o'clock in the morning. So by the time I'm actually ready and drinking my coffee, the brew is already generated and everything from 5 o'clock prior is up to date in the morning brew. Now you can do things like set the brew to be emailed to you every single day. I'm sure a lot of people will like that. That's actually the default setting over here. But if you don't want it to be emailed to you, you can also go to the website manually and review it here. You can also preview it, which will remove all the extra fluff and see what this actually will look like when you get the brew emailed to you. But one thing I do want to call out over here are 2 other features. You can publicize this brew. So say you have a bunch of friends who have the same interests as you, you can make your brew public and share it with other people. I personally don't do that. I have a lot of personal friends I keep on my brews, and I do not want those personal friend tweets and things like that being shared with other people. The other thing you can do though is have several different brews. So you can create one just for Twitter, you can create one just for your blogs, whatever you want to do. If you want to have different brews on different cadences, you can do that as well. In a world of social media and never-ending content, it's really important that we are aware of how we consume that content. MailBrew has been a great way for me to consume content in a more mindful and intentional way. This is just scratching the surface. As you saw, there are so many other sources you can add. I really encourage people to try it out. I do think it's a way to limit how much social media you use, but still receive the content that you want to get from those sources. If you're interested in giving MailBrew a shot, link down below if you want to try my referral link. That would really help me out. Also, if you enjoyed this video, you'll probably like my video on an app called Headspace. I use that app as well to stay mindful. Link for that on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.